Hey, just want to let you guys know I released my first ever Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Experience Camp yesterday. It's going to be on June 19th and June 20th. Classes from 2028 to 2033. Register today. Limited spots are available. 12 hours of instructional lacrosse by the best to do it. Tons and tons of giveaways and a chance to be in one of Mitchell Pehlke's YouTube videos. Sign up today. Let's get into it.
Today, I'm going to tell you guys a crazy story of how I committed to Ohio State at 15 years old. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, timestamps are below. Feel free to skip around. Let's dance, baby. It all starts with my dad. My dad, Kevin Pehlke, was a legendary lacrosse player back in the day. He attended Powerhouse Lacrosse High School, Calvert Hall in Baltimore, Maryland, and then took his talents down to Charlottesville, Virginia to play at University of Virginia. During his 4 years, he was a four-time All-American and was an all-time leading point scorer there at UVA. Now he is currently ranked 4th in all-time goals, 9th in all-time assists, and 6th in all-time points. 2-5 was a legend. Growing up with a dad and a coach like that was huge for me. I was never the sort of kid that liked to chill out and hang out, always on the go. Whether I was playing wall ball, shooting hoops, or running routes in the backyard, I loved sports. I still remember first picking up the stick at 5 years old. My brother was a defenseman and I was an attackman, and we'd always go out in the backyard. Countless fights. Every opportunity I got when I wasn't playing, I'd be at my brother's practices, getting balls and helping them with drills, and I ended up getting the nickname Ball Boy. It's actually a true story. Growing up, I idolized my dad and other players like Steele Stanwyck and Matt Danowski. You know, my dream and first goal in my life was to play Division I lacrosse. You know, I have these memories of my dad telling me these stories about when he was playing back at UVA, playing in a sellout crowd in Klockner Stadium, or beating rival Syracuse or UNC. And growing up, I always wanted to get to the opportunity to play in such a big stage like that. Growing up, it was me and my best friend Danny Maltz going from tournament to tournament to tournament. One thing that Dan and I did that I'll do for my kids is we always played up a grade level. Whether that was rec ball or travel ball, we were always playing against better competition. So then when we were playing against our own grade, we always felt like we had an advantage. In 6th grade, we played 7th. In 7th, we played 8th. And then in 8th, we actually played JV lacrosse. I actually won a high school state championship in 8th grade. That's a story for a different time. Then, sadly, it was almost all over. I remember this like it was yesterday. I was in middle school in 7th grade, and I was so burned out of lacrosse. I was traveling from tournament to tournament, you know, playing rec ball, to then practicing with different teams. I was playing so much lacrosse, the love for the sport was dying. And my favorite sport at the time was basketball. I was better in lacrosse, but I loved basketball more. And I remember after a long, hard day going up to my dad and being like, Dad, I know you want me to play Division I lacrosse, but I hate it. I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. I want to quit. I want to play basketball and try to make it to the NBA. He sat there and he laughed at me. He's like, look, I love this passion. I'm never going to guide you in a different direction, but you're not quitting lacrosse. You can continue to play basketball, but lacrosse isn't leaving you. Now, honestly, I love my dad for that. He gave me the truth and love I needed at a young age. Everything happens for a reason. That winter, I go play travel basketball against a team called DC Assault, where they had kids that were 2 feet taller than me. Kids dunking on me, blocking my shot, had a terrible game. And I remember coming home that day with my dad in the car and telling him, Pops, I messed up. I can't play basketball. I'm going to play lacrosse. Thank you, Kevin. A Mitchell Pehlke at 5'9", Italian. I would have never made it to the NBA. I love you, Dad. Hate to pop in here and give you guys a quick little tip, but if you want a girlfriend for this summer, first it's going to start out with the article of clothing. Lax Frog. You see it on the back. You see it on mitchellpehlke.com. And guess what? If you're not Italian, you might be balding. So get yourself a Lax Frog or 4-frog hat on mitchellpehlke.com. I'll pop one on for you guys. And more of the story is, if you want to hide your hairline, if you want to have a girlfriend for the summer, because it is cuffing season, it's always cuffing season, get yourself a Lax Frog or 4-frog hat. A year and a half later, things got real. The summer going into my freshman year of high school was the biggest summer. After you graduate 8th grade until you start freshman year of high school, that time period was so huge for recruiting. Me and my dad would travel up and down the East Coast going to different tournaments. I was playing for FCA and Sweet Lax, and we were dominating the summer circuit. Our team was stacked. We were playing with guys like Timmy Marseille, Logan McNaney, Daniel Kelly, Danny Maltz, Ben Finley. Our teams were stacked and we were getting so many looks. But at the same time, it was so stressful. Me at 14 years old was strutting out to every field trying to play the best lacrosse possible, because at 14 years old, how I played that day really determined my future. Like, I don't even know like what I'm gonna be doing in 5 years, but at 14, I had to play good to then help my college decision. It's so dumb. Thank God that the recruiting rules got changed. Now high school players can't talk to coaches until September 1st of their junior year. That is the best rule that's ever been changed, because at 14 years old, I'm so thankful the man upstairs and this head made the right decision to play at Ohio State. Like, I truly love love this place and I've never regretted it once in my life. I remember this clearly as well. You know, July's wrapping up and the summer circuit's coming to a close, but we have the biggest prospect camp that everybody wants to attend. The Jake Reed Nike 3D Blue Chip Camp. Back in 2015, this was the biggest prospect day ever. Just like back in 2010, Top 205 was the biggest camp. 2015, 2016, Jake Reed's 3D Nike Blue Chip Camp was the camp to be at. It was so big that thousands of kids had to travel to Florida, even try out to then hopes to get an invitation to go play at 3D in Baltimore, Maryland. Luckily, I balled out in Florida and got the opportunity to come to Baltimore and play in the legendary 3D prospect camp. I remember like it was yesterday, my dad putting so much pressure on me ending up playing pretty good, and after the camp, I was satisfied with myself. I knew I played great lacrosse and finished that summer on a positive note. I remember back in the day, the press on Twitter was huge. I remember getting write-ups by Casey Vach, Terry Foy, Ty Zanders, and I just knew that there was a stir about Mitchell Pehlke that I would end with some offers. So that summer wraps up, and I end up with three offers. One from Johns Hopkins, two from University of Virginia, and three from The Ohio State University. My first visit was to Johns Hopkins University, and at the time, Dave Petramala was the coach. It was pretty surreal touring that school. One, Coach Petramala played against my dad back in the day. My dad has all these great stories about him. You know, two, visiting a school that had so much lacrosse history, winning 9 national championships. And three, having legends like Kyle Harrison and Paul Rabel play at a school like that was pretty cool. We did the whole tour, the golf cart. Coach Petro showed me around the whole school and campus, and it was an awesome experience. Then I had to travel south to go see Charlottesville at UVA. And this was a crazy moment for me. My dad played at UVA. I was finally on campus for an in-person visit. And the weirdest part about it was Coach Dom Starzy was actually there at the time in his last year taking me on a tour, and he actually coached my dad when my dad was a senior in college. And it's pretty nuts to think about now. Obviously, he retired and everything. I knew that school like the back of my hand. I went to football games. I went to sold-out Klockner games in the spring. They call it the grounds for a reason. Like, I know everything. So that was a surreal moment for me, and a moment I'll never forget just because of the tradition. You know, my dad went there. My brother ended up going there. I have so many buddies that went there, and it was such a cool experience to get a tour by Dom and do the golf cart, see the campus, you know, the locker rooms and all the facilities, and it was such an awesome experience. Then my third visit was to The Ohio State University. You know, from afar before going there, you know, this was a school like I didn't know too much about. I still remember getting that first call from Coach K, who is now the defensive coordinator at Hopkins, saying, "Hey Mitch, we love your play. We want to get you out to Columbus for a visit." And I was like, "Let's do it." And I just remember thinking to myself, like, Ohio State, like, what a sick opportunity. I knew they were a great team in and out, top 10 lacrosse, but I didn't know too much about the lacrosse program. When he touched down on campus, man, the school spirit that this place has is surreal. I still remember walking up to the facility and meeting Coach Myers for the first time and shaking his hand. Having him tell me so much about this brotherhood and everything we do here as a team, and, you know, this school with the majors, with the resources, with the facilities, with the gear, with the football Saturdays and the fall being so much fun. Like, I remember him telling me that and me taking a step back and being like, this is exactly what I want. I truthfully think, like, as a young buck, I wanted to go to UVA because I idolized my dad and what University of Virginia had and was all about. But growing up, I wanted more of like a college experience, and I truthfully think Ohio State nailed that to a T. You know, in that same visit in Columbus, my dad and I got the opportunity to have on-field passes for a big Ohio State football game. Seeing the campus and meeting other guys on the team, I knew this place was home for me. I still remember 3 days after the visit telling my dad I want to go to Ohio State. This place is for me, and he was like, I love it. Let's call him. And I still remember this conversation to this day, and I'll never forget this. October 1st, 2015, I call Coach Myers up and say, "Hey Coach, you know, thanks for the visit. And at the end of the day, I want to be a Buckeye. I want to come to the Ohio State for my college career." And just this joy he had on the line in my family, my mom was crying, everyone was cheering. It's just a surreal moment because it was my first goal I've ever achieved that was like real. You know, I grew up with this goal of playing big college lacrosse against huge opponents, and it was finally achieved. You know, on October 1st, 2015, I committed to Ohio State University. And it's just been a surreal 4 years, and the fact that I'm going to graduate from this university in a week, this coming Sunday, is just nuts for me to think about. You know, I can still remember getting on campus and having an awesome freshman year, then getting sent home because of COVID, and coming back that sophomore year, not even knowing if we were going to have a season. And then junior year, living in a house with these guys and creating more memories. And then my senior year, which started in August, and it's already flown by. And again, I graduate here on Sunday. I'm sad that this place is done, but I'm also excited for the future. And I'll say it again, this place has been nothing but great to me, and I can't wait to continue to bring my kids back once a year and come back as a proud alum. And like I said, during my freshman year, it was the coronavirus, but the NCAA granted us a 5th year option back. And I'm not going to tell you guys what I'm doing next because I'm super excited to announce that in a future video, but all you got to do is stay subscribed and locked in. See you guys in the next one. Peace.